Peace and blessings, family. Welcome again to another African Spiritual Conversations. I am joined to the room by the Queen, mothers, yays, and ears, so we can get this great conversation today. How are you ladies doing today?
Great.
Good.
Yes, great.
Is everybody saying cool?
Yeah.
Cool.
Cold.
Cold. It's cold over there.
I'm
Is
sitting
it
in
cold?
the air conditioner. That's why I got long sleeves on, because it's cold in here.
Wow.
Well, don't go outside.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
You know
It'll
I
be
got
the
a rabbit
opposite.
outside.
Oh,
I have a rabbit outside now.
you do?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
It done had babies back here. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
I thought
Okay.
somebody put it over here as their bow and it won't go nowhere.
Oh, wow.
Oh boy.
So our conversation today, we're going to talk about the difference, the connection, or there in between spiritual and physical manifestation, and what is the difference? Are they connected? And that can be looked at in a lot of different kind of ways. Because before we came on, Yay was basically talking about some of what her idea of what she thought about that. But I was thinking sometimes when people think about spiritual manifestations or something and what that looks like, and then sometimes when we think it looks like in the physical, like when we think about wealth. If we look at wealth in the spiritual sense, sometimes people think that it equates the same thing in physical. So sometimes you'll meet someone, they'll have a lot of wealth, right? So in the physical realm, they think that they're rich, but on the spiritual realm, they could be very much broke down. So how do those two things, how do you measure those? And how do they line up? Or maybe they don't. Maybe they do.
I don't know if you can measure something like that. First of all, I don't think any of us are privy to somebody else's spiritual currency, per se. How much they have or how much they don't have, that's between them and Olodumare. So I don't know. And besides, why would you want to even do that? Their spiritual weight or not is their business. I'm worried about my spiritual weight. Hopefully, it's going to be enough to get me where I gotta go. But how now here's the thought. Is there a balance that we have to achieve between our physical and spiritual manifestations? Should they be in balance? Should they be vibrating in conjunction or in rhythm, in tune with one another? Perhaps.
Okay.
I
I might
thought-
want to tackle that one. Okay.
Yeah.
With balance. Because if you're really thinking about, there's not too many other traditions that don't talk about balance, but in ours, African traditional religions, we talk a lot about walking a middle path. And being able to walk that middle path keeps us in balance, because it's almost like a misnomer that you have the idea of goodness versus evil. Okay. And yet there are some crossings of both that you have to do sometimes in order just to survive here on IA. For example, a man has a gun on you and says that I'm going to shoot you if you don't have, if you don't give me your purse, and you're in a life-threatening situation. And it's, you know, you're going to either tell them the absolute truth, like, hell no, I ain't giving you my purse, as I would, you know, because that's sometimes my my smart mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or or I ain't got no money for you to take no way. That's another thing that I would smart mouth and say. Um, and is that in good character? The truth
Mm.
is, here, take my purse, leave me alone. Um, Another side of that is that in terms of walking in balance is when we have to deal with our families, our sometimes we have to do and say things, and with our children, for example, that we may not, you know, we hide a lot of stuff. Let me put it like that. As a mother, there were a lot of things that I did not necessarily tell my children about who their mother was as a woman,
Mm.
rather than telling them, you know what, you know, this is who I am. Okay, this is who, and the disciplinarian, the sweet mommy, the sweet, you know, all those other good mommies, the moral mommy. You know, sometimes I wasn't so moral. Sometimes I wasn't so nice. Sometimes I could be Miss B if I wanted to, if I was in that situation. They did not know who I was as a woman. So my balance was always in their way of seeing me would be off because it was totally in my mother is a, you know, good, upstanding, you know, does the everything by the law. She will not even fudge her taxes. They have no idea that my taxes was fudged all the way down the road. So my balance of truthfulness was off. Okay. Because they did not know that as a single mother of that time, um, they had to, you know, they needed shoes, they needed clothes, they needed food. And sometimes in order to run a household to the outside world, you weren't always doing everything legal. Okay. We weren't always doing things in a way that was, you know, considered upstanding citizen. And I don't know a whole lot of people are, but you had, you know, they don't know me that way. They know me as mommy who protects them, mommy who feeds them, mommy who takes care of them, mommy who goes to the schools, mommy who does all these other things, but they don't know the mommy who had the hustle. They don't
Mm-hmm.
know the mommy
Mm-hmm.
who had to get down where she had to get down in order to make sure they got fed in the first place. Okay. They
Mm-hmm.
don't know
Mm-hmm.
nothing about that mommy. All that mommy was never in the house, you know, in the house. That mommy took that cape off and left it outside the door. Okay.
Well,
Mhm.
You know, and then when that mommy came, the other mommy came in the house that, you know, is, oh, my babies. Okay. Bandage you up. Oh, you hurt yourself. Let mommy kiss it. Okay. That was the mommy that they got. Okay. So when they became older and had to confront the mommy that was out there in the world, they, they was messed up. They didn't know how to take that mommy. Okay. They really didn't know. You know, they didn't know the mommy that carried the 32 in her, you know, in her purse. They didn't know the
Yeah.
mommy that had, you know, that had an axe in her back seat. Okay. And a
Yeah.
baseball bat because sometimes those were the people I ran into. They didn't
Mhm.
know that mommy. Okay. So they had to deal with that. It's not, you know, you are mixing
Yeah.
and having those lives and things and behaviors that are crossing from sometimes not always a good place in order to survive. We walk a narrow path
right on.
as you know, spiritually. We walk this narrow path, but it's a mix of, you know, doing what you gotta do and doing what's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The, I think
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
have a we were talking about becoming Orisha yesterday, And some of the, if you just read some of the stories, the Orishas do a lot of stuff. Like, and it's true that in that realization of the divine, you will get both sides of the coin.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a part of being a human that has a divine spark. Like in the self-realization process, you'll get both sides of the coin. So it will balance to an extent, like, and you have to remember, like, it's called infinite for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So what seems like balance to us in our humanity, the smallness of our humanity, is not going to necessarily measure out the same way. For me, when I think about spiritual manifestations and physical manifestations, I always expect for the spiritual manifestation to be first.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm looking for a particular physical thing, then I need to reach that thing in consciousness in a way. It has some nuance to it. It's not as woo woo as it might sound, but
But in a way, it is.
yeah,
Though.
it is kind of like, you will have a realization, so to speak. You'll come to a different place before you get that next thing on a physical
Mm-hmm.
level. I mean, I could talk about things, but also like when I was going for initiation. So anyone who's been initiated knows that it costs money. And and so I was young, and when they told me how much it cost, I was like, well, I've never even had that much money, I don't think, on my person. You know what I mean? So it took me a minute to wrap my mind around it. But then I was like, I just made the decision that it was going to happen. Like I set my intention, like it's going to happen regardless. Get it or die trying. Like that's what's going to happen. So with all of my little movements and machinations trying to make it happen, that none of that really was the the thing that made it happen. It was at some point the realization that the whole situation was bigger than me. And then getting out of the way was probably more of the work that I did than
Mm-hmm.
actually making it happen. Just for that thing specifically. So other things, you will intuitively know what there is for you to do, and it'll unfold the way it unfolds. But I definitely look for the spiritual manifestation as a sign that things are moving forward, because um, sometimes I'm just going after the spiritual manifestation. Like you can feel the levity of a situation. One of my prayers is that to ask you, like, okay, I don't want anything on my head heavier than a pair of feather either.
Oh
you know what I'm
God.
saying? Like I belong to Orumla and you Orumla's friend. So let's well, what do I need to do? So that's how I talk to Eshu. But in my experience, I have to say that it has been more of a blessing in a lot of ways to have the spiritual manifestation, because it positioned me in ways that when things would come physically, or I would get physical manifestations that I didn't even know that I needed. You know, um,
Mm-hmm.
we want to know things, and that's one of those things that is like both a spiritual manifestation and a physical manifestation. But how the information comes to you, you don't really, I think it's going to come one way, you know. I'm gonna have a dream, and you could take me to this place, and we gonna, once you get one of those good dreams where somebody comes and gets you and teaches you something, like that's the way you want to learn. So come get me and take me all of
Top
that.
of the mountain, top of the
Right.
mountain, child.
Right. So, but then it doesn't always happen like that. But at some point, you feel it taxing up to you. Like that to me is a lot of the spiritual manifestations that you get. You feel it taxing up to you. You see when you're doing work sometimes that the thing is done. Like it may have taken more steps than you planned in the beginning. You start doing some work and then you find out you got to do something else, and then you find out you got to do something else, and you find out you do something else, and you're like, okay, now it's 4 a.m. You tired, but you like, okay, I feel like now it's done. Like you
Right.
didn't know that there was something that you needed to feel it move before you knew too, and then you get confirmation. So I hope that answers the question.
No, no. So why is this? Sometimes it appears to be a lot of struggle between the two. Sometimes, why is that?
The
Because
density you got the density of this
yeah,
earth.
we're human
We are
beings. Yeah, we're human beings.
and the density of earth. I was thinking, I was in Nigeria one time, and we were doing their bow to a room, and just about the manifestation of the thing, and what your expectations are versus what actually happens. Okay, so we're doing this at bow round Ogun. And one of the things they do, one of the parts of the ritual is that you shoot off the gun. Okay. One of the Babalaos that was with us took the car keys that he had before we did the actual killing of the dog, right? And put the car keys on Ogun in the palm oil, right? And I'm looking like, really? Okay. Now, if any and everybody that's gone to Africa anywhere knows how the roads are. Okay, so
Oh
I want
my
you to
goodness.
kind of remember what those roads look like and feel like, right?
Yeah.
So we had all this adventure going on. The gun was old. They were trying to get it loaded and pointed, and me being a paramilitary person, I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Don't point it over here.
You got to point it in the wrong way. The barrel's messed up, all kinds of stuff, right?
Yes.
So anyhow, all this commotion is going on. We do that, bow. The dog is gone. The gin and every palm wine is poured on Ogun. And I don't think no more about it. My thought is, we did the prayer, we did the elbow. This is getting ready, this is going to be either for our protection or, what we had prayed for, right?
Right.
So, Beneath goes over to the keys and pulls them out, wipes them off on his shirt, and we get ready to get in the car. So we get in the car, and it just kind of feels like another shift has taken place in the air, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, wow, So we driving, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, there's something wrong. What's wrong here? And we're driving, and it's smooth. Okay? It was a smooth ride. Not one bump from for 3 miles from where we were to the hotel. Not one bump where there's nothing but holes. Okay. We went over the whole thing like smooth. And I said, that's so good.
Yeah.
My expectation was to be something else. Okay.
Yeah.
But when they say Ogun cuts through the roads,
Yeah.
that was the simplest thing. He cut through the road and there was no bumps. And and that was my best experience of what was spiritual manifestation of something that happened physically.
Yeah.
Okay.
You ain't gonna
I
read
mean,
about that in no book.
you're not gonna read it. That has to be experienced,
Yeah.
because I knew something was wrong, and you know what? It was scary.
Uh,
That's what also, because I'm thinking this deity has encompassed this whole vehicle, which was
mhm.
already broke down too. Let me also add that
Right.
part. Okay, because the vehicle itself was kind of messed up. Okay, that added to, you got the gasoline smell in the car,
Right. Right.
and you don't know if it's gonna blow up or anything
Yeah.
along the way.
Yeah.
But then this being has taken this whole, all of us are experiencing this at the same time. So we can't sit up there and say, did you see that? Did you see that?
Right.
Did you feel that? Oh my God, and I got to the hotel, went in my room, got a drink, got in the bed, and lay down.
You just okay.
I was like, I've never had that happen. Okay. And that, that it not only grounded my faith, okay,
Yes. Yes.
because I'm a firm believer that in Ifa and Orisha tradition, it don't need you to believe in it for
No.
it to work.
Just do what you're
Okay.
supposed to do.
It just does what it's supposed to do.
Yep.
And it did that. I've never,
Yeah.
because I kept thinking, I said, dang, this is not cool.
Yeah.
You scared me, God. You just scared me, oh what? And so with that, having that experience, I had to sit back for a couple of days behind that. I literally had to sit down and take it apart. Okay.
Yeah.
What happened? How could you get my consciousness and everybody as far as the people in that car and get our consciousness, and we all see the same thing, experience the same thing? And I know beyond the shadow of a doubt, I know most of the roads there. Okay.
Yeah.
I've been there so many times. I know them roads. Every last one of them roads got a hole. Like bump, 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 bump,
Right.
bump, bump. Okay. The
Right.
car got to be rocking. Sometimes it hurts just to sit in the car going across
Yeah.
the road.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm sitting there thinking, what is this? But this is Ifa.
Yep.
That's Ifa. And to have something so smooth, so, I said, okay. So this thing that I prayed for also taught me a great lesson about matter, time, and space.
Yeah.
Okay. It was and when you think, and it also made me feel very small. I
Yeah.
really felt like a little girl again because the awesomeness of that. Okay. Just by sticking his keys. And when I went to try and say that's a smooth ride, he just kind of grinned at me. That was it.
Woo. Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, that kind of smoothness, but that grin said everything. Okay.
Can we talk a little more about matter, time, and other constructs? Because
Yeah.
what we're dealing with right now is race as a construct.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so, again, reiterating what you just said, that in Ifa, you don't have to believe. It's not faith-based in that way. You just have to do
Mm-hmm.
whatever you just have to follow the directive, basically.
Right.
So, yeah, can you speak a little more to that?
Well, if we're looking at race as a construct, okay, And we're looking at what is it that we want to do about this situation in terms of race. Because there's really only a spirit having a human experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about colors, skin tones, hair tones, or any of that. It's human beings having a spirit being having a human experience. Okay. Now, when we also look at that, we also have to look at destiny and things that are chosen. We also have to look at what this specific construct does and what it's designed to do on a spiritual level. Not necessarily on how it's taking place, but on a spiritual level. We can look at it on that construct on a spiritual level as a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
A challenge to get you to do a specific thing while you're here and use that. Okay. So for example, we're having problems, racial issues. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have to look at what was that design about. Okay. We are, as African people, are the most appropriated people that I know in the world. Everybody does our music. Everybody does our style. Everybody, wants something of us, but they don't want to be us.
Mm.
Okay. And so our challenge coming here and being in this body is that we do, my mama used to say, well, girl, as when you get your education and everything, when you get on these jobs, you're gonna have to do things 3 times more than these white folks do. Okay. And it would bug me. Why? You know?
Yeah.
But that was the reality of our times and still is.
Yeah.
So what I found was that I all by that being my reality, I did that. I pushed myself to do and excel in areas that under any other circumstance or other people, I would just have to use my normal intelligence. No, I couldn't in this sense because being here, if I wanted to be able to provide things for my family, I would have to excel and
Yeah.
do. So I think that that part of that construct it was designed to be a challenge. Every generation has excelled and exceeded the next generation. Okay. In so many ways. Each of our generations have done things that have been just amazing. Okay.
Mhm.
Worldwide. But we here in the diaspora, looking at the things that we have gone through, has just been the bar is high. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we are looking at
Yeah.
our African women in the diaspora. We're more educated than most. Okay. When it comes to, even though because of that and because of our mindset, we also are the most maligned. Okay.
Mhm.
We are the most denigrated and the most dismissed. That's our challenge. But we also find ways spiritually and all other ways to overcome those things in spite of what people do to us. Okay. What's going on in the movement in the world right now has everything. Everybody want to be a Me Too person. Okay. you
Mhm.
know, everybody. And yet Does anybody know the black woman that created
The Me Too movement.
the Me Too movement?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we got to look at that construct there as a challenge because we are still, as Maya would say, and we still rise.
Mm-hmm.
We are still rising. It even in our own tradition. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, there was still Babalaos cussing us out for daring to be Yanifas.
5 years ago.
Okay. Well, baby, let me tell you, I kind of put a stop to that long time ago, okay?
Yeah.
Because it's like, you got you only have one time, okay? And see, I'm not a person for confrontation like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the person that will say, okay,
Mhm.
and I walk away from it. I ain't gonna cry. I ain't gonna scream. I ain't gonna pull my hair out. Okay, I'm gonna work, and I'm gonna work to make you remember what my name is, and that you will ask your mama to ask me for forgiveness for why you did that. So stupid. Okay, so I, but that's the things that I've learned how to do at that. But think about that. We're still doing battles within our own traditions. Okay,
Mhm.
where we were told that in so many uncertain terms that we did not belong in that position, and when historically we did. Okay, most of the people that fight us don't even know what they're talking about a lot of times.
Mm.
Just to go off on that
Mhm.
tangent a little bit. Okay, but if we look at racial and gender biases that have taken place, we have and continue to show the world how to step over the foolishness. Okay. But that comes from our ability, our spiritual intuitiveness, as to get back on the other side of this. This is our connection. Our spiritual intuitiveness and connection to Oludumare, connection to Orisha, is all Egbe, is also what keeps us grounded and able to see beyond borders.
Mhm.
Okay. And to be able to utilize that energy spiritually in order to cut through nonsense, as Ogun did, and help us to get where we need to be. Okay. For another example, a lot of people have forgotten that the Black Lives Matter program also, or movement, is a Yanifa.
Mhm.
Okay, Patrice is a Yanifa. Okay, so did it ever occur to folks that Ifa was in this movement all along? Okay, so race as a construct, as a challenge, is also being used as a tool too. There's other layers to it.
Mhm.
So with those layers, we are now working at a different level. Okay. So many people are now wanting to say that they're part of this movement. And little do they know that ancient gods are the fuel that's pushing it through. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's where it is. So, you know, when it's like anything with light bulb, you know, how did we get the light bulb in the first place? Okay.
So, do you Do you see the physical and spiritual? Okay, because we are a physical and spiritual manifestation. Our
I see it
bodies aren't
meshed.
just that,
I do
right?
see it meshed.
So, how what are some ways of being that we can take on in ourselves to transcend that? So, just like the Babalao putting his keys in the palm oil, transcended the construct of matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what are some of the things that we should maybe lend ourselves to, even
Knowing
observing,
this.
imagining, working with, yeah, in order to transcend these
Mm-hmm.
constructs that we're operating within?
We have to begin to understand what knowingness is, okay, and walk in that light, okay. We are so, doubt, fear, more, and Obel Poon teaches us that fear killed more people than death ever did, okay. So how is it that fear kills more people than death? It is the mind. When the mind conceives a thing to be and it knows it to be, then it is.
Hmm.
This is what we're dealing with. When you take it, what the Babalao did, okay, he knew, okay, he knew his knowingness. He knew that when he did, when he put the keys in the palm oil, what was going to take place? It was his knowingness that connected all the pieces together. His being in that moment, his being in that gap was how he walked it. The middle path is about being in that gap and walking it day in, day out, second by second, and just doing it because they do the rest. You know it's going to happen. Okay? You absolutely know it. And so you don't, it's not magic. It's the world we are born into.
Yes.
It,
Okay?
Yes.
it's universal
It's
law.
universal
Mm-hmm.
We
law
talk about
Yeah.
this all the time.
all
It's
the time.
cosmetic law that
Yeah.
everything starts with mentalism.
Yeah.
And that's where we have to start as a people. Yesterday we talked about a mind of poverty. It's going to be difficult for us to get rid of it, but we have to get rid of it
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
because, and I do believe that one facet of our being able to get rid of it is to know who we are as people, to
Mm-hmm.
know who we are as spiritual beings,
Beings in a human
Right.
form,
having
a
a
human
human
experience.
Physical
experience.
experience.
That's it.
See,
Ashe.
so I'm a firm student because I've been a student all my life. I'm a firm student of Hermetic law, and the more I study it, the more the clearer, Obatala, clarity, the
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
clearer things become for me.
Mm-hmm.
So when we know what mentalism is, and I had a hard time getting that, um, but I've got it now. When you know what mentalism, well, I think I got it. When you know what mentalism is and you practice it, because we do it automatically as human beings. We don't
We do.
know that we're doing it sometimes, but
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah. I
When
want
you
to.
are developed more, okay, as we develop our spiritual and mental state,
Mm.
we
Uh-huh.
do know, okay,
Yeah.
we do know, and that's the point. Men, even with poverty mentality, okay, the way that I had to start moving that out of my system was every time the thought would come up, the lights are getting ready to go off because you ain't got money for the bill. Okay. If Efi told me it was gonna take care of me and I did my elbows, guess what? The lights ain't they, I'm gonna have this taken care of. Okay.
Yeah.
I've had it where I have literally, the lights go out, somebody comes through the door, hands me $200, and I go to get in my car and go pay the bill. Just like that. Okay. No time to doubt what's going on. But
Yeah.
that's how you have to walk in this.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You have
Yeah.
to know. You have,
Yeah.
and so when that thought comes up, that doubt and that fear, okay, I sit down and say, well, what am I being afraid of? Okay.
Yeah.
I already know this playbook. So breathe, do some 4-point breathing, get that nervous energy out of your system, get up and do what you gotta do. Okay. Grab my cola, go back in the back, and let's have a conversation.
Right.
Okay. Let's have this conversation here. Okay.
Yeah.
Because now I gotta move some things around.
Yeah.
Okay. But you walk in this. And it's a lifestyle. It is
And
a way of
it's not easy. It's
It ain't
but see
that
that
easy.
it's very, very difficult because you can know all
If
this.
you let yourself think that, because it is only if you allow yourself, yes, it is difficult. But when you get to a place where you have to stop thinking, because that's part of the doubt. Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be a little rough. Okay. But the more I do a thing, the more I know a thing, the more I'm not even worried about whether it's difficult or not. It's gonna happen because I said it's gonna happen.
But
That's why.
the point I'm making is
Okay.
for all of the people who are out there. It's very easy for us to talk about this. And it's easy for us to say it. The challenge comes when you take the words and the saying and the knowing and you put it into practice. That usually, for me, it means stopping, taking a breath, sometimes wallowing in my own self pity for an evening. And then, yeah, and then I get up in that morning and I said, to hell with this.
And do it.
I know what I got to do. I
Right.
know that everything is in divine order. So whether it is or it isn't, or does or it doesn't, I'm taken care of. And I know that. Now, I ain't so sure I would have known about the key in the car and the smoothness and the,
Right, right.
I
Right, I
don't
wouldn't have
know.
known that. But wait, you said something earlier that I think kind of is a little connective tissue here between what both of you are talking about, and that's spiritual currency,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So we're talking about poverty mentality. Let's talk about spiritual currency, because you know, it builds your spiritual confidence the more you bank spiritual currency.
Yes.
And what are the types of things that are spiritual currency, like prayers and uh, offerings, elbows, obedience, all those things that what are other things that also are the spiritual currency that moves you from the place of I have to overcome myself, you know, that kind of moves you out of the way so that you like, okay, let me just be clear here that all of my needs are provided, and that kind of
Yeah.
brings you that levity that you need to get up off your behind and go have the conversation. You know what I mean? When you get up to grab your cola and go have the conversation, like there's a shift that takes place, and I think the passage for that shift is your spiritual currency.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's like you put it in the bank. Actually, it's just what I was saying. We bank all of that. I know that stuff. I got it in my head. I got it in my heart. I can talk about it and all that. Can I walk it?
Yeah.
Can I take that spiritual currency and put my money? Oh, I'm thinking about Vegas now. Can I put my money down on
On some numbers here.
or
Rolling craps.
yeah, or New York? I had that dream. The number is 378. Can I take $50 and put it on 378 and know that's gonna come out? I'm gonna be a
because
happy
because
camper.
sometimes sometimes you are not in the space to even cash in your spiritual currency. Like I've had to sometimes have prayers like, look, I'm the one taking care of you, man.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
there's nobody who deserves this blessing more than I do. Who should get it? If I'm the one taking care of you, then who should get it? Me or somebody else?
Right.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we don't look at destiny in that same instance because we do that. I do that with my people I know. See, Arisha,
Uh-huh.
I ain't trying to go there with that.
Right.
Okay? I ain't trying to do that. I ain't trying to do that with your rooming lady. But with my ancestors, on the other
Yeah.
hand, I'm gonna
Yeah.
sit down and tell them I'm the one that's keeping the prayers
Calling
going
your
up for me.
name. I'm keeping the
I
party
call your
going,
name,
man.
remembering you. Please, do you all understand the words that's coming out my mouth?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right on.
So yeah, I understand that. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
We
Yes.
have those times when we have we have the right to vent. Okay.
Mhm.
We have,
Mhm.
which isn't putting us in doubt, it's not putting us in fear, it's taking some of the pressure that
Oh,
we've been
Yeah.
holding
yes.
on to us and
Hmm.
saying, look, come take some of this off because I can't walk with it on me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
My
Mhm.
shoulders are bending over and my back is hurting. Okay. I need
Hmm.
some assistance here.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
we can vent without being in fear.
Yeah.
We
Mhm.
can
Mhm.
vent without being in doubt. It's just taking the pressure, releasing that cap off of it to let some of that steam out so that
Yes.
we can
Yeah.
move forward. And in our casting with our ancestors, we're getting answers back that can affirm or make us take it to another level. Okay.
Yeah.
One of the things, the hardest thing that I, as a diviner and a counselor, have to do is when, so I used to work hospice, okay, too. I really did not like to do that, but I've had to deal with situations where in divination, I had to tell someone to prepare themselves for their next journey. Okay. And that's some of the hardest conversations spiritually to do. When, but it also is a testament to who you are as a person and your belief system
Hmm.
and how much that currency has built up in you in order to be able to take someone's hand and say, I'm going to help you across.
Yeah.
Okay. I know you have to go, and we're going to do everything to still, even if I'm doing, if I'm doing elbows, the elbows are going to be for the other side. Like we give cloth, we're giving cloth, and in that cloth, we're putting it with a gungo so that they will have clothes for the other side. They won't be naked. Okay.
Hmm.
So that is another journey that can be so difficult because now you're telling them what is it that you believe? Do you believe in the continuation of spirit
Hmm.
when this flesh is no longer? Do you believe in uh not just the afterlife, but in our system? Do you believe in Agba Ashe? the Garden of Command? Do you know where you're going? What are you
Mhm.
building? Okay, that's why the conversation yesterday about funeral plots, having those things available as an organization is
Yeah.
critically important.
Yeah.
Okay, because you never know when that time. What is the contract that you had with Ola Dumare and the Orisha on when you're going to leave this world? What is your contract? Okay. So, and that also, you have to address that on a spiritual level. Okay. Where I've had, one of my godchildren had to take her straight across, take him straight across, rather. But in the meantime, in taking him to be, getting him to that place of preparation, we also had to prepare his family. We had to prepare what were they going to do in
Mhm.
connection with his crossing, okay, and being able to make sure that they were going to be okay, okay, and all of those things, all this stuff comes together in when you're dealing with stuff like this, okay. So his belief was he had no problem with his leave. He just needed to make sure that his wife and his children were going to be taken care of. Okay. And that's what we did. Uh, and that spirit that he is keeps coming back around here every once in a while. Whenever something's going on with his family, and they haven't picked up the phone to call me, he shows up. No, his spirit shows up. And I'm like, all right, let me call them. Let me find out what's going on. And I'll find out that there's some drama going on. Okay. And we
Yeah.
handle the drama and we move on. Okay. But that's the continuum. That's the constant continuum of how we work from spirit to flesh, from flesh leaving to spirit again.
Mhm.
Because he's still here.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
What happens then when since we're on this spiritual currency?
Yeah.
What happens when you have used up all of your spiritual currency?
That you saved up. That don't mean somebody else ain't got no money for you, baby. You know?
Oh, well, now
You
there's a
want
thought.
some? You want
Right on.
You have to activate that continuum.
yeah,
uh-huh,
hello.
uh-huh, uh-huh,
You know what I'm
uh-huh.
saying? Like
Yes,
Yes.
that's
yes,
what that yeah.
Okay.
You may not even get to what you accrued in this lifetime. You might be writing
Right.
your grandmother's prayers. And
And that's what we do.
your
yes,
kids might need what you got.
yes,
Mm.
yes, yes, yes,
Uh-huh.
yes. Ah, that
You know
connection
what I
to
mean?
our
Yeah.
ancestors
Right.
Uh-huh. Yeah. That's a
provides
part of
us,
it.
I guess we can go, and then what
The
about Egg Bay?
Egg Bay on that end is a deep story, because that no human being can live here on earth without. You have
Yeah,
Hmm.
no human being can live on earth without an egg bay in heaven. Now the
yes,
question is, how deep is your egg bay?
yes,
And are they Baruku or are they ready? Okay, because you got some egg bay that's purely evil. Okay,
Hmm.
okay,
hmm,
and you got some egg bay that's just angelical, so to speak. Okay,
mm-hmm.
you want to use that term, but
Yeah.
basically you have that ain't no difference. We keep looking at I think the Abrahamic way of seeing Orun, as if there's, that people, human beings and other beings, are once they leave here, they got to be good. Okay, no, not true. You
Huh.
got good, and you have mid-size and medium and bad, you know. You have all of that in this other realm. It is other stuff. That's why we're walking that middle path. So that we're not,
Yeah.
you know, but like trust and believe. I one of my godmothers before she left here, Eshu Migwa. Yeah, Eshu Migwa. Priest of Eshu for God knows how many years. And I remember I was staying at her house one time, and she was talking about one of her friends who was coming, and I had went to dozed off, and I saw this woman and all these spirits that was walking with her, and they kind of felt kind of heavy, you know. And when I woke up, said, "Yeah, yeah, I see somebody coming here," and she said, "Oh, she's Panamanian too, by the way." she said, she said she got some damn evil spirits coming with her too. I was like, oh, okay, that's what I feel. You know, I being blessed to have I've had some really hellified mediums as mentors, okay, and godparents, and that was one of them. And one of the things is that she would always point out what I would see and confirm it, okay, so
Okay.
that I would be able to, you know, move forward with what I'm seeing so I can see more, okay. But that was one of the things that she was letting me know that she had, and that egg bait that she had rolling with her was pretty damn bad, okay.
Huh.
And that, you know, get yourself girded up. She coming in the house because they were making dolls. Okay, so like we had this, you know, she was doing business. Okay,
Right.
so she had to get me like get up, you know, do some cleansing, you know, because she coming and she getting ready to show you something, girl. You know, but the thing is that when you're dealing with egg bag and dealing with all different, because you know there's all different types of egg bag deities, okay, and there's all types of spirits that we're dealing with. You know, it's not the clean cut nicety nice stuff. You know, we have some spirits that we have to cleanse away and deal with on a regular basis. That's the world we're in. This is a metaphysical world, okay?
Yeah.
And too often, you know, we want it to look a certain kind of way. You know, I'm in the frame of mind that I can't. Okay, you know, people is one of my godsons had said, you know, that he really doesn't like sleeping in my house sometimes because things come up to talk to him. You know, you know, it's like, you know, you
That's
got
a real thing though. And I
it
think
is.
like that's a real thing, man. It's not, and sometimes it could be very like, I remember my godmother telling me it's called infinite. She's always said that, and I say it too. It's infinite, it's called infinite for a reason. You're not gonna understand everything, but like even the other night I was falling off to sleep and something, I don't, it didn't jump on me, but just kind of like put its
Nudge
arm
you.
around me. Yeah, and
Uh-huh.
I was like, hey, man, come on. It's already like 11 o'clock. I need to go to, I ain't got time to be
Sleep.
getting up.
Yeah.
And now you got to get up and do all the stuff. Cause like, what's happening?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I mean, it gets like that. It's like I get to a place where it is the normal road of business wherever I
Yeah.
am. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I used to say, look, come in the kitchen. I'm cooking. Okay. Because, like,
Yeah.
that's where everybody want to talk to me at anyway. They just want
Right.
talking to me in the kitchen. Because I got this one over here talking about put this in there, put that in there. You
Right.
know, the other one over here saying, you know, you shouldn't be eating all that pork, girl. You know better than that. You know, or this one over here saying, well, you don't use that oil, use this. You know, so you got everybody,
Hmm.
and sometimes it can be like loud.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have to say, you know, if I don't shut this down, then I can't hear you all. Okay.
Right.
So that everybody kind of congregates in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
My
Mm-hmm.
problem with the kitchen is at night. They don't go to sleep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, and it's all kind of noises and stuff going
Uh-huh.
on,
Yeah.
and you like, who's in the kitchen?
Now. Okay. Or, you know, because you know, I have a couple of dead husbands, right? So
Okay.
Oh, oh Lord. All right.
Right on.
so, you know, when you have the bed go plop, I'm like, no, 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 no. You know, you have, it's like, which one of y'all, you know, is sitting on my bed?
Yeah.
This is
Who
my
trying to
bed.
get into bed with you? Yeah, that's a
No,
problem.
you know,
Mm-mm.
uh-uh. This ain't gonna work. Okay.
Right.
And so you have to, you know, and I got protections, trust me. But when you have a spiritual connection to people, we've had, you know, where we've had children together, okay,
Yeah.
then I can't tell them you can't come up in here. And
Right.
you're bound to me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This person is
Yeah.
bound to me because we have children together.
Yeah.
And there's no energy stronger than the energy of creation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And that keeps you connected in spite of, you know, whether you like them or
Mm-hmm.
not, you know, anymore. You know, but
Right.
it is a reality. Okay. And then two, how they interact, you know, because you have to think about it. I'm in a temple. Okay, literally. There's not a room around here. They ain't got a shrine somewhere, okay? And
Mm-hmm.
or you know, something going on here. There's a spiritual connection. So
Yeah.
with that, then what happens here is that it's like a magnet. You know, it's that beam that's going up there. Zzz, 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 zzz. Come
Mm-hmm.
over here, come over here. You're
Yeah.
welcome over here. You know, you'll get
Yeah.
fed. You know, like no.
It's like when people walking through the city and they like, oh, they cooking over there. I smell the
uh,
food.
yeah. And that's exactly what they're doing. It's exactly
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
what they're doing.
Uh-huh.
And then I live on the T junction.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I live a
Yeah.
few clicks off of T Junction too. I've been feeling it too.
Yeah.
This,
That
yeah.
T
It's
junction
different.
actually. Yeah.
It's active. It's very
Oh yeah.
active.
Yeah. This one
It
is.
doesn't help that the whole neighborhood smells like gunpowder at night because of the fireworks. Like,
Okay. Yep. So, you know, we have these, you know, contracts going on with all these different spirits when we work in our world. Okay.
yeah.
And I think I was talking to someone, I wouldn't live any other way. Okay. Seriously. I wouldn't have it any other way
No,
because this is a lifestyle, but it's an adventure. Okay.
it is.
It is a true
Yeah.
adventure. It's something that, you know, when we start talking about spiritual connection and spiritual currency, I'm thinking I got 11 generations alone in this country. Do you
Hmm.
know how many I got across over the water? Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
I'm a wealthy ass woman.
Yeah. And you know what else? Like you always talk about activating earth medicine and working with
Yes.
earth spirits.
Hmm.
Like I think this is I'm gonna say it again. It's crucial for black people in this country to really begin to take that spiritual currency of our ancestors whose blood and bone is in this soil
Mhm.
Absolutely.
and really start to work that medicine for ourselves, because it will make our lives richer. Like all of these challenges that we're having, like I
Hmm.
think we'll begin to transcend a lot of those challenges just by that step alone.
Well,
I
we
agree.
You
lost
realize,
our connection with the earth when mm, we left the South. We kind of went into the concrete jungles of Chicago and New York and Philly and so on and so forth, and we left that part of ourselves that was connected to the earth behind. Because before that, we always had our hands. mm, we often had our hands in the earth, and I think that is this past year has brought us back to the realization of how much we need and we are connected to the spirits of the earth.
I
You know,
also think, yeah, I think
I'm,
that's true for
yeah,
some people, but I don't know that that's
yeah,
true
me
for
either.
I don't.
everybody, because
I feel the
most
same.
of the people that have
I do
lived
too.
in urban places,
Good
we
point.
all got a relative that lives on a farm
Right.
Yep.
or something that looked like a
Oh,
farm or
well,
some
But
kind of
even
dirt, like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
right, but
that's
I
I
not
think
been
we
my reality. That's
that
not been
right.
my,
But
yeah,
yeah,
That's the beauty of this conversation is that
yeah.
say,
yeah,
I believe that maybe for what I've seen,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
we
yeah,
don't have those connection, but
yeah.
yeah.
I think we have it even
I
because
think
the
it's
other
possible to lose it, but it doesn't
right,
necessarily, it hasn't necessarily happened for
I don't think it's
everybody because
right, and I
yeah.
think we had a lot of blood that continued to spill. I think we can't X those out because they left by gun violence. Their blood
Yeah.
still went into the earth.
No, 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 no. Yeah, that's the thing. Like that blood
Mm.
goes somewhere.
Yeah,
It goes
Absolutely.
into the ground.
Absolutely.
Do you know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Like we get to activate the earth wherever we are
Thank you.
and use that energy. We get to use
yeah,
that energy,
Right.
and we're dying more in the streets
yep.
in
Still
urban
in the earth.
areas than,
There
well,
we
I
are
can't even say
anywhere else.
more because I think it's a cycle. Like where we live is a cycle. We move someplace, then the people come and gentrify it, then we move someplace else, then the people come and gentrify it.
Hmm.
So I mean, if we were to map out the places where our blood has soaked into the ground, like we can use earth medicine
Hmm. To
anywhere
work it.
on the planet. Like I think that red clay dirt got something to it though.
It has a lot of minerals and more. But seriously, one of the things that I did, I got a call one day that my daughter had to go to the hospital. And every time she went into the hospital, they couldn't find out what was wrong. She's in a lot of pain. And so now I'm living in LA. Can't get, that's a
Hmm.
nice concrete area too. And
Yeah.
so, I told you about living in Chinatown and stuff. Okay. So anyway, but my daughter was married to at one point, or living with whatever, um, someone whose mama liked to do spell work. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. And so she was mad at my daughter. Okay.
Oh,
So I'm thinking, all right, well, let me try something. So I went to the earth,
Hmm.
talked to my I went to the earth. I took a tablespoon and I dug into the table, with the tablespoon into the little patch of dirt that's outside our house because wasn't nothing big. Okay. And I had a prayer for elect. And I had some palm oil. I had some liver. I had some peony seeds and some ginger and put it in the earth. And I said, Mother, I need my child. Whatever this is attacking my baby, I need it to stop. Period. And send it back. And I covered the cast. I got an affirmative. I put the cola in there too, covered it back up, and I went back upstairs. to my apartment. Okay. By nightfall, my daughter was out of the hospital and didn't have a problem again. But the person that had did the work had a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they were feeling kind of sick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, no, you do. We can do that work.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science. This is about our connection to the earth. We can do that. All right. But we have to know, we have to know what to do, how to do it. And that's one of the things that we do. You don't have to be anywhere specific. Okay. I ain't got to be in the graveyard. Okay. All I have to do is be in my backyard
Mm-hmm.
and call on what I need to call on in order for it to bring that protection around us. They say Earth, the magnificent one, the one who has the power over all birds.
Yeah.
Elay has the power over all birds. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what
Let
we
me
do.
ask you something about that. Just to piggyback off what Ia said about the connection to the earth. Do you feel like your connection to the earth was enhanced by the fact that you also spent summers in the South with your people? Like, I know it may not be as much of a practice now as it was during during the time that you grew up, or even during the time that I was growing up. Like, my grandparents were migrant farm workers. When they moved from the South, they moved to Central California, and they were
Uh-huh.
migrant farm workers. So we've always had a garden growing food in the backyard. We've always
Mhm.
had those. That was just, we took that with us wherever we went. But I don't know that all of the people who now live in urban areas and have been there for a couple generations and maybe disconnected from their parents by foster care or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
may not have that same connection. So they may have to relearn how to connect, where they are. Not that they can't connect where they are, but just that, the consciousness of that has broken. Like, no one ever told me, as long as I've been in the tradition, ain't nobody said nothing about, we dug holes and did different things. And
Mm-hmm.
I think I've heard certain things, but not that explicit. Like, just, you know, go wherever you are, just dig a hole and talk
Dig a
to,
hole. Okay,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
the earth is everywhere, wherever my feet
Hmm.
walk. Okay. Then this is a living being.
Mhm. The
Okay.
earth,
The
yeah, the
earth is
earth,
a
it's
living being.
alive.
It's alive. And
Breathe,
so
Hmm.
yes.
it is a deity. Aye, the outer core,
Hmm.
the inner core, Elay. Okay.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
with that, this is what we're attaching.
Okay.
We're accessing this Orisha, this Arumira.
Yeah.
Because if we go into our cosmological system,
Mm.
the reason human beings are able to manifest here is because Aye was lonely in the universe
Mm.
and needed to be propitiated by human spirits, plant life, animal life, all these different aspects. Okay? All these different things and beings. But it couldn't do that until Olodumare came into this solar system, EDIC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And so with that, it came into this solar system and said, we now will propitiate the earth. But
So
we have
what
to,
is, I'm
mhm.
sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
Finish.
we just have to, we have to make it, we have to prepare it.
We have
Okay.
to pair. Okay.
So preparing it is one, a local. Remember, local
Mm-hmm.
had to receive some of this territory,
Mhm.
okay, in order for human beings to come. Okay.
Okay.
So this is all part of our cosmological stories,
Mm-hmm.
of how this took place in a lifetime. Okay. And it took millenniums. This isn't just happened overnight. This is millenniums of activity in order to just get human beings into this solar system to go into this earth. That's why this earth is so important for us to work.
Yeah.
Okay. To understand all the nuances of it, the leaves, the plants, the insect life, the animal life. All of that is extremely important, that we have to do in order to get to get the things that we need. I knew intuitively, okay, from spirit that my kid is sick
Mm-hmm.
and I need to do something. And if I said go to the earth,
I say.
I go to the earth. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think at this point in my I stopped questioning eons ago. Okay. If I say go to the earth, put some
You just
clothes on,
go.
if it's I go.
Just
Okay.
go. Yeah.
Because it
Mm-hmm.
works. That's the
Mm-hmm.
point. In that knowingness, in that gap, in that minute, at that moment right then and there, I know it's gonna work. I didn't have no problem going out there doing that, coming back up, go in the house. I'm like, okay. And she said, Mama, I feel better. I feel so better.
Yeah.
She don't know what I'm doing. Okay.
Right.
Okay. You do that
Yeah.
and let them handle it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They said do elbow. That's elbow.
Yep.
Okay. That's the ritual. That's the elbow. You do the work. Okay. So, but I'm aligned. Okay. I'm aligned with Ifa.
Mm-hmm.
I'm aligned with Barisha. Okay. And in that alignment, I can do the work. And I also have cell memory from my ancestors.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Because I got that, they give me that download on a regular basis. Sometimes I have to say, oh, turn on the TV. I don't feel like dreaming tonight. Let me turn on to have some interruption here so I can get some rest. Okay. Because that's part of it. That's part of
Yeah.
it. But this is what we have. This is our gift. Okay.
So.
And when we don't activate and use our gift, so it's like if somebody want to know, then they need to pray. They
Mm-hmm.
need to ask some serious questions of their own Ori.
Right
I'm
on.
connected to Olodumare. I'm connected to all these different beings. Okay. Tell me something. Show me. Push me in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't know, show me. And at this point in my lifetime, I have found that when I ask for it,
You get it.
if I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's your
Okay.
spiritual currency.
That's the spiritual.
That's
Yeah.
really what we're
Absolutely.
talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you just mentioned Ori. Ori is our spiritual currency.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So that's what
I
we
say.
do.
I say.
Well, y'all, this is a great conversation today. As it is every day. Every day is a great conversation. It really is. I think as we wrap up, we looking tomorrow's Friday, maybe we really need to be looking at some of those things that our people were able to pass on, no matter what they were going through or what they were. I think we're richer than we give ourselves credit for.
Oh,
That's
no doubt. No
That's it.
doubt.
Yeah.
Even if you're doing stuff that may not be on the up and up, people still pull ritual and spiritual. Like when we talk about libations, nobody ever even made the connection. I mean, when people would be pouring some out for their homies, even though that's
Right.
not church form or in some kind of religious
Yeah.
setting. I think our ancestors, just little things that they were giving us that they remember, that they came out of their memory. And I think sometimes I think we give white people so much power that they did everything to us, but didn't understand that some of us knew exactly who these people were and what they had to do.
Well, that was
Everybody did not drink that Kool-Aid.
We had to be
That's true.
displaced, or that's why people come after your resources, your human resources, is because you have all of that.
Yep.
Okay.
I
It
say.
wasn't just, it wasn't just the material things. Okay. they snatched us. Okay?
Right on.
Yeah.
We were it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They had the material stuff there on the land, but they snatched us.
Right
They
on.
thought we
Yeah.
were that wealth. And
Yeah.
that's what we have to remember. That we are that wealth. That's why I said I'm a wealthy woman.
Right on.
Yeah.
Okay. I know I am. And
Yeah.
so with that, I have to, you have to walk in that truth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's where I think the real journey is the walk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no doubt.
Absolutely.
You gotta
No,
walk the
absolutely.
walk. You got
Man.
to.
Yeah.
You know, and
Absolutely.
it ain't, it may not be as hard as we think it is, and it may not be as easy as we think it is. But I just know it's something about when you get down to the walk, that's where you kind of see who people really are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not who you think they are, what they could be, but
Yeah.
what they really made of.
Yeah.
But that's when you see who you are.
Almost definitely.
Yeah.
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 Because it's about you. It's who you are. Yeah.
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 Definitely who you are, but I know it's also reflected in others. Because when I work in here, I always look up to see who's working with me.
Mm.
Mm.
Because I definitely can't do this alone.
Mhm.
So even though I'm constantly working on me, this is my truth. When I'm doing my work, the creator, the universe, ancestors, whatever, always sends me the right person in the right
At the
time.
right time.
It won't even be the person that I think is gonna come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's
Yeah,
kind of
that's
like if
the
you're
truth.
constantly doing the work,
Yeah.
you'll look up and see who you really rolling with, not who you thought you was rolling with.
Yeah.
Mhm. And you also are given a lesson with that too, because through them they see you.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I say.
That's real talk.
I say.
That's real talk.
Okay.
So we'll be back on here tomorrow, y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all have a good day, y'all, family. Thank you for joining
All
us
right.
on African Spiritual Conversations, and we will be back
All right.
on here tomorrow. Peace, family.
Sugar.